I came into this hoping for like 10 goal contributions. Like that's my goal. And if I
We're
surpass
gonna
it,
scrap that.
if I surpass it,
I mean, 10. I mean, if you want an easy quiz, I'm not trying to begrudge you, my guy, but
I'd watch like YouTube clips, Ronaldinho, Neymar, whoever it is, and I'd practice it until I got it. I broke many vases in the many pictures. You know what I mean? And that's something that I have to thank my mom as well. I always knew I had something, and I just wanted to really fulfill my potential, and hopefully it could be at Vancouver. Jozy, when I was coming up, he's the one that really like stood up for me in certain moments where he's like me, and I could be him one day, standing up for another little black kid that's coming up from the academy type of thing. He'd been through it already, and
yes.
crazy. I have so much respect for Jozy, man.
This is New Ground with Allen Hopkins Jr. Let's go. And Jalil Anibaba.
We are back and we are better. The best show on your soccer radio, New Ground, the epicenter, your home for melanin-rich conversations about life, soccer, footy, whatever you call it. We hope that each and every time you dial in, plug in, and connect with us, you find yourself in each and every show. Allen Hopkins Jr. with the dapper Matchday 1 fit man, Mr. Jalil Anibaba. Jalil, DC was a vibe for sure. Great match for you. But how did it feel to be back there in the booth for the first game of the 2025 season?
Well, you're talking about dapper. I was just wearing some fur around my neck so I could make sure I was warm, bruh. So I could sit through my notes in time when Benteke was scoring goals or getting in those goal scoring opportunities, man. But match day one was a vibe. Shout out to my boy Josh Eastern. He killed the call as well.
Shout
And
out.
it's just really good to get back into the swing of things. And we've spoken a lot about what really goes into the hard work that everyone that's involved, players, coaches, people that cover the league or work in the league, have to really put in to earn the right to participate into a season. So it's amazing to be able to, take part of the beginning of the 30th season of MLS history.
It is amazing to think how time flies. And I had a really cool moment for me personally on the first match day, LAFC getting the result. Shout out to Jeremy Abobasi scoring the first goal of the 2025 MLS season. But the man who provided that assist is someone I've known forever and a day, Nathan Ordaz. He was part of a team that I coached back in the day when I was in Cal South and one of the coaches of the year. And I had a great group of players, and Nathan was a part of it. And to see him uh, play a perfectly weighted ball so Jeremy could bang that first goal of the season into the back of the net to give LAFC the win over Minnesota was just a cool moment. And thinking about the first goal ever scored 30 years ago, Eric Ronaldo, and having a relationship with him before, after, and during all these times, and then to see it all come together again was quite awesome. So it was a lot of fun that first match day, and we're off and running just like that, Jalil.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of reflection that typically happens once the season has started. I think that people really need to know and understand a little bit more about your story. So you coach Nathan Ordaz, but in what capacity? What was he like as a kid? You've worn so many hats, but let's talk about your youth coaching experience. What were you doing? Like, what? I thought you were a
Yeah.
broadcaster back then, like, now you're saying you were a coach too, like, what's the word? Was your son on the team? Like, what?
Yeah,
Tell us more.
it was my son Santiago. You're absolutely right. I was broadcasting at the time, and I used to just basically use the time in between to coach my kids. And my son Santiago had amazing group of 2003s. Believe it or not, a lot of these kids now are seniors graduating from college. And Nathan was one of our young guns. He was younger than that group, and he was left-footed, talented, feisty, a lot of fun to be around. And I was coaching at Real SoCal in the academy system. We had this little pre-academy team, and it was a lot of fun. I poured a lot of my time, my heart and soul into it, and was recognized as a Cal South Youth Soccer Coach of the Year. And a large part of it was because we had great families and great kids. And I'm watching this unfold going, holy shit, I must be old enough that I'm working with the dude who scored, who got a ball from a boy I coached. So it was just like a kind of a full circle surreal moment that when you think about receipts, it's like who can do that? And I want to just kind of organically start to sort of just even liberate myself from the boxes I'm trying to always sort of hit. So it was just a thought I had. I was like, "Oh, what, this is crazy." I remember the first goal when Ronaldo scored it, and here I am watching the first goal of the season with a dude I got a lot of love and respect for, and it's actually a colleague in Jeremy getting a ball from a kid that, man, like I used to pick up and drop off and hang out and all that stuff. So pretty cool moment.
You're old, dog.
I know that's what.
Man.
I mean, let's go. I mean, no, you're right. You're right, man. You're right. There, you know what the thing is about that? That was a like a healthy love slap.
Yeah, bro.
That was like your brother like slapping you up real quick. So
Just
all
saying.
good. Stefan and I were in Coachella, and I saw Nathan. We had a nice big hug, and he's just put in the time and the work. And I know Steve Cherundolo expects big things for him. So it was just really cool to see a player that you've invested in, that you've seen, that you always believed was a pro,
Uh-huh.
get to this place where he's contributing to a very important club in our league. And again, just what a great start for Jeremy as well. You always want to do well with your new club, and nothing does that more for a striker than a goal in your debut.
For real. So I saw again, shout out to Jaron Bobasi, shout out to Nathan Ardaz, shout out to LAFC for, picking up somewhat where they left off in 2024. A lot of people are expecting big things out of them as they do themselves. I saw switching gears a little bit. I saw Chris
Yes.
Henderson post something on social media, and him and I chatted just a little bit, saying how thankful he is for being involved of every single year of MLS history, which
Mm,
is 30. And I thought about the fact that, like, wait, I've been involved in half, 15, right?
yes,
And
yes.
it's
And your entire
actually,
adult life.
yeah, facts. It's actually really dope to sit back and think, like, how many people have been involved in this stuff from either the beginning or some of the earlier stages. So is it safe to say that you have been involved in all 30 of the years of MLS's history to date?
Yes, I have, and even more so, good friend, a colleague of yours, it was cool, I saw, Sports Business Journal did a 30 for 30, and
Yep.
our guy, Richard Motzkin, was named as one of the most influential 30 most influential people in MLS's history, and I sent him a note saying I didn't need an article from SBJ to let me know that
Facts.
because of who he is and how he operates and how he moves. And Rich and I go back to when he had a small office off of Wilshire, going to lunches, and I was dreaming and plotting and scheming, and he just was focused and he's done an amazing job. So it's just in some ways, and not to be nostalgic and in our feels before flowers at the end of the show, it's just
Uh-huh.
really cool that the league has come this far, this long. There's been so many people who are now part of that story. And the game's been very good to me. And I know it's been good to you as well. And it's been good to everyone who's been a part of it, whether it be for a brief moment or for their entire lives.
Absolute facts. Shout out to Rich Motzkin. He's the godfather of MLS, and means a lot to so many of us. We'll definitely have him on the show at when the time
Yep.
is right. But
Our queue is long. Our queue is long. And the show as well.
our queue is long, but it's definitely a queue of people that have left positive impressions on us. And like you said,
Hmm.
whether it's people that have left long-lasting ones or historic impressions on us, or people that, impress in short amounts of time. It For us, what we are always looking for are people that tap into good vibes.
That's right.
So
That's right.
that's what
That's
I
right.
love about Newground so much, because it's the ability to provide a platform where people can come on and tell their authentic stories, talk about
That's
things
right.
that connect us all, which is the game, but more so, who are you as a person? Why do you love this so much? How do you tick? How does your family flow? How does that
Hmm.
uniquely position you to be somebody that's interesting? And without a shadow of a doubt, every single person that we have brought on has been very interesting. And what surprises me is they're more interesting throughout the interview than I ever even thought beforehand, whether I knew them
Mm.
closely or I'm just getting to know them through the interview.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way, and this is why we did the show and built the platform as well. And speaking on people who had an amazing sort of debut in the match day, later on the show, joining us to cover new ground, Vancouver Whitecaps attacking superstar for match day number one, Jayden Nelson. But he was just part of a handful of storylines from that first match day, heading into match day two. One of the ones that stood out to me, and I had to send my guy a note, Bruce Arena, San Jose. You talk about you can't open new doors with old keys. Well, Bruce's keys seem to work at a lot of different places around the league because whatever happened, he unlocked something in San Jose we haven't seen in a minute. That was a really sort of signature result for me. But as Bruce said in the post game, we could go 1-33 and no one's going to be showing the love. So that was a result that stood out to me. I thought Latte La opening his account in a big way. FC Cincinnati, I think they're going to be a problem for a lot of teams. Columbus, they go a couple goals down, no problem. What were some of the
Yep.
results that really stood out to you as well as we get underway?
Well, first of all, you said that old keys can't open. What was it? What was the phrase that you said? Old keys can't open new
Old
doors.
keys can't open new doors.
Well,
Yes.
listen, Bruce has been opening the same door with the same key in the same way for so many years.
The
And
skeleton key.
it's it's a very simple and effective formula. It's Novocaine. You get top ballers
Mm,
and you
speak
give
on
them
it.
a simple blueprint on how they need to play tactically and let them be themselves. In the locker room,
Mm,
outside the locker room, in the confines of the field, and then when it all comes together on the pitch, you see people happy, smiling, dancing in the corner when they play for Bruce's. We've been seeing this for 2 decades and running. So, but for
yeah.
me, results that stood out, Philly on the road under Bradley Cornell
Yes.
against Oscar Pareja's team. That's
Mm,
not easy at all.
that is not
They
easy.
put a 4 spot on Orlando. That right there for me, that's a statement win on opening night. But of course, you cannot talk about surprising and influential results without talking about San Diego. They
Well
looked
said.
very good. And it was a balanced, competitive game, don't get me wrong for the most part, but they had that knife between their teeth toward the end, and the way that they closed out the game when they were winning 1-0 and LA put all pedal to the metal, it
Yep.
looked like they were gonna equalize or maybe even find 2 goals late, sat back, hit a little rope-a-dope when you need to, and then hit with the most effective counter that I saw on the weekend. Excellent stuff for San Diego.
Yeah, that's well said. I agree with you, and that's a big time result. San Diego spoiling the party on Ring Day, Banner Day at Dignity Health Sports Park for sure. But the West is going to be wild. I think there's going to be so many matches that are going to be decided sort of late, and we'll see how it all plays out. One last thing before we get into the rest of the show and our conversation with Jayden Nelson, a question I've been posing to you with
Uh-huh.
all of the resources that
Yeah.
clubs put toward attackers. Is it easier to score 2 goals plus a game than to keep a clean sheet now in MLS?
Well, I'm a defender, so if you don't keep a clean sheet in a game, the game isn't complete. That was how I was
Mm,
always taught. That was how, you know, it was, you know, hammered into my mentality in terms of that is how you have to think about games. It's interesting because Robin Fraser, of all managers, talked about the fact that a lot of teams have become extremely top heavy and spend and spend and spend on the front end as far as their offensive output, but
mhm.
you don't typically see the same or comparable investments on the defensive side. I don't necessarily think that it is harder to score 2 or 3 or 4 goals a game than to keep a clean sheet, but I do think that the focus has gone away from that in MLS. And
Mm,
teams that are still able to do that at a very consistent level find themselves competing for MLS Cups. You're talking about
yeah,
Seattle. You're talking about
yep.
LAFC. You're talking about LA Galaxy, even though they dropped points on opening night. You're you're when you look at the teams that have had the most success in the last 5 years, their defense is on point. So, it's never going to be a coincidence in any league, and quite frankly, any team sport. If your defense is lacking, you're never really going to always be able to outscore teams because you have to defend as well, and the first line of attack is your defense anyway.
That's right, that's right, that's well said, and not just because he spent 12 years in the league as a defender, but because that is true. The first pass always, almost always comes from where you recover the ball in the back to start attacks. So it'll be interesting for us to see that trend. Will it be harder to score goals or harder to keep a clean sheet in MLS in 2025? When we come back, joining us to cover new ground, no doubt the breakout star, match day one in MLS, but has it really been a breakout sort of performance because this player has been doing it behind the scenes and maybe now just coming to light? Joining us on the other side of the break, Vancouver Whitecaps forward, Jayden Nelson. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to New Ground on SiriusXM. Welcome back to New Ground. Today, we're joined by a player whose journey has taken him from the youth ranks of Toronto FC to the pitches of Europe and now back to MLS and with a big bang. Jayden Nelson's recent debut with the Vancouver Whitecaps was an absolute masterclass. A goal, 3 assists in only 62 minutes. You talk about putting in work. Third player in league history and the first in almost 20 years to record 4 goal contributions in their debut. Joining us to cover new ground this week, Vancouver Whitecaps forward Jayden Nelson. Jayden, welcome to the show. How you living this week?
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me. It's good. It's good vibes right now for sure.
Good. I mean, after a performance like that on match day one, is definitely got to be good vibes, And like we spoke about before we started the show, I'm happy for you. I'm happy to see you back in the league, but most importantly, you look comfortable. You look very happy. I like to really start things from the beginning. So talk to us about how footy started for you. Why was it something that, you really gravitated toward? Who got you into footy? Take us back to the beginning.
Yeah, man. It all started with my grandpa. Um,
Mm,
he had a love for the game. He didn't play professionally or anything, but uh, yeah, he basically put a ball in my hand, and I was always kicking it. I wasn't throwing it. I wasn't
mm.
like, you know what I mean. So football's always been a thing for me, and since he seen that I had a bit of talent and whatnot, and he just continued to push me on, and till this day, like I go for him for advice. I go for him for everything. You know what I mean? So he knows me best. Simple as that. And I think you touched on like you like to see me like enjoying myself, and I think that's Jayden Nelson. You know, that's when you take it back and I look at my childhood self,
Mm.
that's me, you know? So, yeah, I'm just so grateful to be back and yeah.
Jaden's interesting because we had Darlington Nagbe on last week to kick off the season, and we had a funny moment where he said he couldn't remember when he wasn't good at soccer. And we chuckled on that. He just only remembers being good at the game. Were you that player with the long shorts and the long socks where you couldn't see your knees, where you always knew that you had something that was a bit different, and how much that fueled your identity and sort of your drive and your purpose to get to where you are today?
Honestly, I feel that, like, I don't wanna say it, but, like, I'm that type of guy, like, you could look at my Instagram, like, I'm a humble beast, like, you know, and for me, yeah, I always been good, you know, it's either running or whatever it is, anything I put my mind to, I really was good at it, you know, and football is one of those things that I'd watch, like, YouTube clips, Ronaldinho, Neymar, whoever it is, and I'd practice it until I got it, or if I feel like a keep up move, like, around the world or whatever, I'm practicing till I got it, you know, and I broke many vases in the many pictures, you know what I mean, and that's something that I have to thank my mom as well. I always knew I had something, and I just wanted to really fulfill my potential, and hopefully it could be at Vancouver.
You've mentioned family members on 2 questions already, your grandfather, your mother. I'm a huge family guy, as is Alan, and
Yes.
What I'm always very interested in is how people are able to navigate and succeed in very difficult and competitive environments. And the way that I was raised is that when your foundation is intact, you have the ability to maximize or even exceed your potential. So tell us more
Mhm.
about how your family was influential in terms of laying the foundation for you, both on and off the field, and how they continue to do so. Because as we all know here on the show, your support system really, really needs to back you up when you're actually at your pinnacle as a professional athlete.
For sure. Like I think, yeah, my grandfather started me off with the game, but I think it all starts with my mom. And like away from football, just being her, like her being a single mother and going through all the turmoil that she went through to get me where I am today. I think that really pushed me as a kid and gave me that tenacity as a footballer. Simple as that. And looking back at it now, it's just like how did she do it? You know what I mean? Like how does she do it? And now like now she's still trying to recover from all the sacrifices that she made for me to get
Mm.
here, you know? So it's all thanks to her, and I think that's what really pushes me today. You know, like I had a in the match, like I have a wristband that I started doing now that I write down whatever I feel before the game type of thing.
Mm.
And it gives me something a more of a oomph to push for, you know what I mean? And yeah, and my support system is something that means so much to me because if you don't have a good one, you could stray off to the wrong path, but they kept me going, they kept my head straight. When I got too high, they knocked me right back where I need to be, you know? And that's why I always say that I need to remain humble because it could be taken away from me like this, you know what I mean? So it's my support system is everything for me, and now that I have a great girlfriend and she knows her role as well to really play that part, and it's been amazing so far.
It allows you to potentially do things that you wouldn't have otherwise when you have a solid support system. I can relate firsthand to my mom and my stepmom, both of them making immense sacrifices. My mom was in medical school when I was playing, like, youth ranks and whatnot, and she would come home for Christmas break or whatever have you, and in medical school, you only get, like, a week or so, but she would be jump right into that role of driving my brother and I to Morgan Hill, which you probably don't know Morgan Hill, but Allen Hopkins knows, and that's far
South
from
San
my
Jose.
house. Yep, and then you'd have to come back, and then she's studying for exams and trying to balance all that out. Tell us more specifically about some of the ways your mom sacrificed because that's what makes it all real.
Like, just, like, waking up, dropping me to training, or who dropping me to school, picking me up from school, dropping me to training, waiting in the parking lot,
Yep.
or going to go do a job, and then coming back to pick me up. On weekends, waking up early again, like, and she's working like 3 jobs at the same time. It's crazy, you know, like, when I really think about it, it's like, you're a superwoman to me, and
Mm.
Mother's Day is coming up soon, and it's like, wow, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Yep.
What did you write ahead of the first game?
I wrote "Be Fearless," I wrote "Mom," I wrote, "Blood of Jesus," and I think it was "Be Direct," one of those.
All of those things came out in the match. Every single one of those things were very clear in the way you went about it. Very, very clear.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Vancouver Whitecaps forward Jayden Nelson joining us. And Jayden, we this is a brotherhood, this show, but also in the league, as you know. This is a bigger brotherhood, and even amongst the black players, there's even a tighter bond and an esprit de corps that you just know that people really are rooting for each other. Now, we're playing against each other. I might dap you up, but I'm trying to just kill you. I'm trying to beat you. I'm trying to win. But there's a love and respect there. And I reached out to a couple of guys I know you know very well, and I want to get your thoughts and responses to these text message exchanges. I first sent a note to Jozy Altidore, and I said, Jozy, got Jayden on later, and what do you think? And normally Josie leaves you on 3 dots, right? You might hear from him like a week later, you know? But he, like, responded right away, and he was
Yeah.
like, quote, "Absolute baller." He always showed his skill and tried stuff since he was 15 or 16. Very talented player. Happy he had that breakout game. It's been a long time coming.
Well,
And then I hit up Dwayne D. Rosario, and I asked him the same thing. What do you think about Jayden? He said quickly, "Hey, I remember Jayden at his time at TFC, a young player. I always admire his attacking style with his willingness to take on defenders. Glad to see him doing well." When you hear Josie and Dero giving you that love, what do you think? Take us to how you're actually feeling in those moments.
yeah, it's just crazy. Like Dero, Josie, those are guys I looked up to, and like beforehand, like Dero's a Canadian, and he was a guy that was a face of TFC like back in the day. And it's crazy now because now I'm like close with his sons, and yeah, it's crazy for a legend like that to say something so nice, and Josie, when I was coming up, he's the one that really like stood up for me in certain moments where I would I would try things, like I would try a move on our center back that's been having a crazy year, you know what I mean? So it's he would stand up for me anytime, and it's not even just for me. You could talk about any young guy from TFC. Josie's one of those guys, and first of all, he's a real person off the pitch, and I have immense respect for him. And yeah, it just means a lot, man, for sure.
Real quick, when you think about what are you thinking about when you're thinking about him standing up for you? Is it in the middle of a session, a look, a nod? Is it a pat on the backside to say, "Yeah, man, keep doing your thing no matter what"? Like, what specifically, when you think about his advocacy and his support and him standing in solidarity with you in those moments that you think of?
It's just like he's like me,
Mm,
and I could be him one day,
mm,
standing up for another little black kid that's coming up from the academy type of thing. You know what I mean?
mm,
Uh,
mhm.
he you could tell he'd been through it already, and
Yes.
he just wants the best for me or for any young guy. You know what I mean? And like all 3 points that you brought up, he's done. Like he's been vocal where like we've coming from halftime on preseason and nobody's doing anything but Jayden is. Like
Mhm.
Jozy Altidore is saying this about me. You know what like it's crazy. I have so much respect for Josie, man.
Jaden, that doesn't surprise me whatsoever. People in and around my age, Josie's age, we come from a generation where game recognized game, real recognized real. If you can ball and you're a humble kid, the dude's gonna vibe with that.
Exactly.
Josie was the same way, even though he's a year younger than me, he was already the dude at the U20 national team, and he brought me under his wing and more so his grace and power with the national team at that time, and he's always been like that, but it's a two-way street, don't forget that. You can't go wrong with your approach, for real. You can't go wrong with your approach. You don't hear too many younger players, and it's not like you're super young anymore, but just like players that are really coming into their prime. You don't hear them talking about the older guys and how important, the wisdom they showered on them was. But when you
His
hear
mama taught
that
him to listen. He was listening,
yeah,
though, you know what I mean?
but
He
in
was
my
observing.
experience, when dudes have that type of mindset that you have, bruh, they be killing it. Once they catch fire, bruh, it's over for the rest of the for real.
Yeah,
Like,
man. Yeah.
it's over for them. So, keep up the good work, bruh. I love to hear the fact that you're already talking about how you're either looking forward to or helping younger players yourself at this age, because that's what it's all about. I would have never made it had the older guys in my early locker rooms, shunned me or whatever have you. But again, it's a two-way street. And in that vein of the brotherhood, when you really take a step back and you think about all of the Canadian ballers, and you can be specific, the Black Canadian ballers. You can even be more specific, the ones that come out of the 6 and the Brampton area, like yourself, like Tajon Buchanan, Dane St. Clair, Kamal Miller. You could go forever and a day. You're talking about D-Rose kids and Asante and Alisa. Do you guys, have a tight-knit group? Do you guys kinda just whenever you see each other, dap each other up? What's that vibe like? Because I think a lot of people really wanna know how so much success out of y'all's area is bleeding throughout the league and the Canadian national team, and what the behind the curtains of that experience has been like for y'all.
Yeah, so for me, like growing up, I played in Toronto, right? But I'm from a city like 30 minutes out called Brampton. And when I tell you, like, back in the day, it was like where D-Rose from, he's from Scarborough as well, right? So it was like a Brampton versus Scarborough type of thing, like of talent. When I tell you, man, like there's so many guys that haven't made it like professional that had crazy talent, and Canada on a whole is just a multicultural country, right? So we bring so much different type of flavors, different type of personalities when it comes to football, because they're from all different type of backgrounds.
Yeah.
Like I think that's one of the things that you could see within the national team, that there's guys from all over, and like we're just ballers,
Yep.
but like you said, what it's like when you make noise, you make noise, and yeah, we definitely give you respect for that. So when you're making noise in the city and we see you, then it's like, okay, like I knew you for 10 years already, just because like, we're some type of thing. So yeah, that's how it goes in Toronto.
Jayden Nelson joining us here, Vancouver Whitecaps, Canada national team. And one of the things that we a lot of the sort of American centric right part of MLS, and a lot has been talked about a World Cup on home soil, right? That's your opportunity as well. How much does that light, that opportunity fuel, and a big part of just the type of person you're trying to be on and off the field, and how do you go about sort of knowing that there's a big opportunity there, but it really starts by you being the best pro you can be in your facility in Vancouver day in and day out. How much of that sort of magnetism, that pull of a World Cup really just make sure that you're doing everything you can to be at your very best at training and in match days?
Exactly. I think you said it. Just being the best professional I can be. I was basically in the process already with the last cycle. I got to go to the pre-camp. I was with guys that actually went, like Richie. I had like Daniil Henry, and he's
Mhm.
the perfect example of. I've seen Daniil like really change his whole lifestyle towards this one goal.
Mm.
But obviously, whatever happened, like, everything happens for a reason. But like a guy like him, like to go through everything, he was a role model for me as well, to see like what it's like to really be a professional. And I haven't even told him this, but like just to really see him change his whole life, to how he was eating, how he was preparing it, it's crazy, and that just sets a bar for me and how I want to really take steps towards that World Cup. And for me, it's everything. Like uh, all of us, we all dreamt about it. So I can't wait for that opportunity, and I'm just working very, 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 very smartly about everything I do. But I don't want to change everything or change my whole routine just because it's a World Cup. I don't want to stay on a balanced level towards it. But yeah, it's something so important to me that I can't wait for, and I'm working towards.
I mean, that's the only way really, is to make sure that you continue doing the things that have led up to your success, you double down on those and then add in, levels to be more efficient in your professionalism and X, Y, and Z. And like we said earlier in the show, it showed last weekend. And you talked about the things that you want to potentially achieve with the Whitecaps now, because it's new beginnings, not only for you, but for Coach Sorensen as well, and for the organization. So talk to us about what you wanna achieve individually and how you hope that helps the collective as well.
Yeah, for me, like I came into this hoping for like 10 goal contributions. Like that's my goal. And if I
We're
surpass
gonna
it,
scrap that.
if I surpass it, then I
I mean, 10, I mean, if you want an easy quiz, I'm not trying to begrudge you, my guy, but, we can move that bar up a little bit, but that's the goal you set for sure, which is cool.
yeah, so that was my goal, and obviously to now I'm closer back home and it's easier for Jesse Marsh to look at me and things like that playing for the national team is so important for me. So yeah, and for the team it's just like this group is an amazing group. Amazing group.
Mhm.
Like
Why? Why
we
is it
have
an amazing group for you?
we have such a good locker room. Young guys, veteran guys that all talk to each other. Like for example, Toronto, I wouldn't say it was a bad group, but there were so many egos, so many big players that it was difficult for a young guy to really come through the ranks and know what a locker room should be like, type of thing. But here it's been amazing and it's been so easy to integrate with these guys, and I think that definitely helps a player as well. When you feel comfortable with your teammate, the guy that's next to you, you want to fight for them, right? So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. But it's been really good, and that's my goal. But if I surpass it, then I surpass it. Then we keep going.
That's right. That's right. No, I mean, don't listen to me, but I feel like you're gonna accomplish that goal, and we certainly continue to see what you're doing on the field, and on the field was a very special moment, I'm sure, for you to do what you did, a goal, 3 assists to help Vancouver beat Portland. Jalil played for the Sounders. That was the
Hmm.
first time you got to taste Cascadia Cup against Portland.
Yeah.
What was that locker room like in terms of not just winning the first match of the season, but winning the first match of the season against Portland? Was there a little something there? I know you haven't been there long, but was
Mhm.
there something different about that result that you can speak to?
And you had to have been on the aux. You had to have been on the aux after the game because that's the type of performance where it's like, "Yo, I don't care who normally controls it, but it's me. It's me. We listening to whatever it is. You listen to whether it's Lil Baby, whatever. I don't care, but it's mine today, yo."
Sure. I was the one that was playing the tunes, but
There you
uh,
go.
yeah, like when we came into half, we're up 2-0, I think, right? We're up 2-0, and it was like, "Okay, let's keep pushing," because I know this was a derby, and I think beforehand, we gave them 5 or something like that, right? So, we're like, "Okay, let's do it again." And we're coming off a game that we just lost that we didn't want to lose. So,
Yeah.
we just want to go, like, full speed at it, So, now now we go again in a couple of days, so we're just ready, and like I said before, this is a great group, and we're just so hungry for everything this year.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask the East Coast Canadian Jayden how West Coast Vancouver is treating him. How's it been? Vancouver is one of the most beautiful places on the planet. Certainly an amazing place. I know you know already, but what's it been like for you to integrate into the city for you and your girlfriend, your support system, everyone around you?
Yeah, it's been good. It's top. Like Vancouver is it kind of has like a European feel a bit. I'm in Canada. I don't feel like I'm in Canada. You know what I mean? So like I'm 6 hours away from home. So it's been good so far, man. Like the organization here is top. Team manager, everything was good. I'm settling fine. So it's been amazing so far.
I can't even lie to you. One thing I gotta say for real before Alan closes us out is I alluded to it earlier, but y'all Toronto dudes, y'all just got swag though, for real. Like the way
Real
y'all
talk.
talk, y'all slang, y'all,
Dap each
there's a
other
lot
up,
there's a lot of
everything.
flair, in the way y'all talk, like, and but for me, I love people that got a lot of swag, but
No.
they're balanced with humility as well. And that's
You know.
what really comes to the forefront with a lot of the Toronto guys that I know that I'm close with, and you
Mhm.
exude that same thing as well. And
What?
watching the performance against Portland, one thing that really stuck out to me was your assist to Adekugbe. You could have
Yeah.
taken it yourself, But the
Yeah.
clear, obvious soccer play for a for sure goal was to roll it to your fellow Canadian international, let him tap it in. So, you what to me is one thing that you have been taught in your life that keeps you level? You got your swag, you got your hair, your fade, your everything is clean, your sauce is
Crispy.
on point, crispy, but it's very clear that you're also a humble dude as well. So, what is one thing that you either taught or you learned that makes you always think, "I gotta be humble as well, even though when I'm killing them, still gotta be humble
Yeah,
too."
for me for me, it's my mom. You know, it's my mom, my grandma, my grandpa, like, just remember where you're coming from, you know? And there's be another person that's gonna go through the same thing, and there's still kids, there's still people that aren't doing well, you know? So, just remember where you're coming from. I think that's the biggest message that my family has taught me, you know? And, when it comes to, like, on the pitch, for football-wise, it's just to remain I say this is my thing, like, to remain numb. And I say that because a lot of things could happen, injuries, a lot of things could play a factor, you know, and just not try not to get too high or try not to get too low, just trying to stay level. And another guy I could shout out for this is Michael Bradley. Like that guy is a top professional. You know, when I got to see everything, and it's a guy that I still talk to this day. And when things were going great for him, it's the same persona, same way he acted, same way he comes in an hour before everyone, you know? So just be able to stay numb and obviously enjoy the first 40 hours, 24 hours of whatever happened, but just don't get too low, don't get too high, and that's something that keeps me humble for sure.
Incredible insight. You're wise beyond your years, and just so thankful that you took some time out, Jaden, to join us here on New Ground. And we wish you nothing but the best of luck, the health, and the mental health as well, and the stamina and the perseverance, everything you need to be a real good pro. And congratulations on the W in the Cascadia Cup opener. Best of luck in Champions League as well, and we'll catch up with you down the road.
Thank you for having me. I definitely want to be back. It's love, man, for sure.
Yes, sir.
That's right. That's right. There are so many of our conversations to hear and watch. Subscribe to our YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Our handles at New Ground Show. Up next, as we always do, Jalil and I, still buzzing from that conversation with Jaden, hand out our flowers. Don't go anywhere. You're watching and listening to New Ground, and return after this. Before we get into our patented flower segment, as we do every episode to close the show, on behalf of New Ground, my partner in crime, Jalil Anibaba, we want to wish Tony Miola a speedy recovery. Tony, your incredible career has been an inspiration to so many, from your legendary performances as a goalkeeper for the U.S. men's national team, including unforgettable moments in the World Cup, to a pioneering role in Major League Soccer. You left an indelible mark on the American soccer game. Your tenacity, skill, and passion, exemplified by your MLS MVP and Goalkeeper of the Year awards, and your record breaking performances, have cemented your place as a true icon of the sport. Rest up, take care, and know that all of us are sending you positivity and healing energy. And the one thing he wanted me to let everyone know, go get your checkup. So, Tony, best of luck in your recovery. We'll have you back on the air very, very soon. Time to close the curtain on another fantastic episode. Shout out and our thanks to Jayden Nelson for joining us to cover New Ground this week. An amazing conversation. Clearly, he's putting his mark on the league, putting everyone on notice. We look forward to tracking his progress throughout the campaign. It's that time every week where Jalil and I give out our flowers. Last week, I split my bouquet between my very own Sienna Hopkins and Daryl DK. His triumphant return for West Brom after a long, lengthy injury layoff. He is back and he is better. We look forward to seeing how the season plays out for him. My flowers this week go out to another OG, Ray Gaddis. Ray inducted into the Indiana Soccer Hall of Fame, and just an amazing, I think, honor for someone who is clearly wise beyond his years. The Reverend has got a heart of gold, a heart for the Lord, and just appreciate everything he's doing in Indianapolis. Has a big time job working for the NCAA in their championship services division. So, really excited about Ray. Congratulations for his induction into the Indiana Soccer Hall of Fame. Jalil, how about you this week?
There is nobody who's more stoic, more professional, more humble, more studious in terms of studying themselves to become better each and every day that I have come across in this profession than Ray Gaddis. He is somebody that I
Mm,
love dearly, somebody that I've learned a lot from, somebody that I had the pleasure of sharing the pitch against for over a decade. And most importantly for our brotherhood, one that I've spent a lot of time since 2020 when we created BPC, getting to know very deeply, understanding how he ticks has made me a better person. And
same.
I hope that we continue to be able to shed light on Ray Gaddis. And if he continues to move in the world in any way that resembles how he's moved about it throughout this point in time, that will remain a fact in terms of always being able to talk about him positively. Shout out to my dear brother, Ray Gaddis.
Well said.
I'm going to take my flowers to the best state in the world. And you know what that state is? It's California. I'm going all the way down south to San Diego to give my flowers to San Diego FC. When you make a
Yes.
statement as far as coming into the league in the way that you did, defeating the defending champions in their home confines, beating a team that has not lost at home since October of 2023, and you do it with
Mm,
style, rhythm, and flair. Nah, this deserves recognition because expanding into the MLS from a roster standpoint is difficult, you know. You have to get all the right pieces. You have to have a coach that understands what the players need. You have to have an organization that gives the players what they need to be successful and weave it all together. And that, with the energy or jet fuel, I should say, that is behind a team, a market, and an organization expanding into the league can be a very special thing. I hope that we continue to speak about San Diego FC in a very positive light because it's better for the league and just builds excitement. So, if you have not heard of the name Dryer, make sure that you get familiar with Andres Dryer because he balled out. I want to give a shout out to my dear brother Anibal Galoy for getting the start
yes.
at a very young 35 years of age. He
He is
continues
young.
to do his thing. And this is a very interesting prospect now. I think a lot of people are going to be hyper focused on what San Diego does because of the way they went about their first match. Shout out to San Diego FC.
Congratulations to everyone involved. I've gotten to know Tom Penn, Ricardo Campos. We shouted out previously on this segment Kelvin Jones, his head coach and partner in crime down there on the bench, Mikey Veras. Congratulations to everyone there at SDFC. A winning start. Now it gets real, to say the least. Everyone now knows how good you are. And player of the match day for Dryer, that's a great way to start your MLS career. And that is it for us. New Ground is executive produced by Stefan Geraldo. Our New Ground team is the best in the business. Megan Fontenot, Krista Mann, and our music director, Mazen. Don't forget you can listen to previous New Ground episodes on the Sirius XM app. For Jalil Anibaba, I'm Allen Hopkins Jr. We'll see you next time on New Ground. As always, thanks for listening.